Hi there, welcome or welcome back to Oops, I Planted Again. My name is Courtney and today is going to be the very last plant update that you will see from me on this channel for 2021. One of the first videos that I did here on this channel was a massive plant haul. I'm pretty sure I got about 30 so plants in July and August, and I shared all of those plants with you, and I want to give you an update on what happened to all of those plants because it's about 6 months later, and I'm excited to share with you what was great and show you the plants that did not do so well. So we're gonna start off basically with just a memorial of the plants that did not survive. I don't have them anymore. They died, and that's basically what happened. For most of them, I think it was environment, meaning maybe my humidity wasn't right or correct, lighting. I have grow lights, but maybe some of them didn't like it as much as I thought they would. Some were not under the grow light. I had placed them in various places around my house, so maybe they wanted some grow lights, I don't know. Another one was watering, I think was one of my biggest factors that I was always fighting because I'm an underwaterer, so I tend to push my plants to the limit, which some plants do not enjoy, and they just didn't survive. So we're just gonna run the clip. Talk about that did make the cut, that has lasted, is the Philodendron Rio. I talked about this in a previous video. That is one of my slowest growers. So I have it in moss. I have it in a smaller prop box that has airflow in it. I just poke holes in the top. I never open this prop box. And the roots are growing insanely well, and now it's working on its second leaf, which makes me very happy. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm not gonna mess with it. It's happy, it's healthy, nothing else is going on with it, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a really good update in another 6 months on this plant. Now we have the Hoya Polyneura. I've mentioned this in a couple of my videos since that first plant haul. This is one of the first fancier Hoyas that I got. And it honestly grew extremely slow in my opinion, even though Hoyas grow slow in general, but this one just wasn't giving me anything. And then it just sprouted out all of these leaves and it got really bushy, but I didn't understand the growth pattern. I didn't really look it up at all. I kind of just bought the plant and just wanted to see what happens, which is what I usually do. But I saw that they can like trail, so I was like, okay, cool. So if they can trail, they can climb. I just put the stick on literally yesterday, so hopefully it wants to climb up this stick and it'll be super tall, hopefully in another couple of months. I will say out of all of my Hoyas, this one needs to be watered way more frequently than the other ones. I think it has to do with the medium that I came in. I got this from a personal seller, so I never changed the medium, and I've never repotted this at all in 6 months because I honestly didn't want to disturb it because I like the medium that it's in. It's super well draining, basically meaning that the water doesn't really stick to soil like it normally does with regular soil mixes. So I have to water it more frequently, but it's happy and alive. So this is a plant that I got from a personal seller. That's where I got most of my plants. This is the Philodendron Brandtianum. Now, this was the first leaf that this was. It was on like, I got like a whole long vine, and I had 3 pieces that I cut it up into. 3 pieces that I cut it up into. So this is one of them. I have another in the small prop box, and then one I did a giveaway with. So this is what it looked like originally, and these are the other 2 leaves that have grown. They're significantly smaller, and I want to say it has to do with one, I have most of my cuttings that were this small in these types of containers, but I'm needing to size them up to give them more room to grow and to give them something to climb. I'm really interested in getting my plants to climb as much as possible this year and getting them as big and beautiful as possible. So I feel like I'll need to add that support onto this side and also repot. But as far as care, this plant is super easy. It's one that I recommend, and I just think it looks super freaking cool. This is a plant that I've mentioned multiple times that I have had a battle with over the last couple months, the Alocasia caprea. I have not gotten it to its full potential in the last 6 months, which makes me really sad. So there's a couple of things that I want to do going into 2022 to help support this plant and get it really big and sexy. It does have a new little leaf growing, but this one is going to die soon. I never really got it to be super huge. I don't know. It had spider mites, so I was fighting that for a while, and I don't know, it just never really exploded like my other alocasias. And I'm hoping that with a repot and actually got some fertilizer and I keep it under the grow light, I'm hoping with these little changes I'll be able to have a big and sexy Alocasia Caprea, because that's what I want. But the roots are doing fine. It hasn't had any type of pest, literally knock on wood. So hopefully, I just want this one to be really big and pretty. Yeah. This is a plant that I got from a friend who I was watching their plants for them. Philodendron Soderoy. It was so cute. I literally don't see this plant talked about enough. I think it's just so cute, and like I love philodendrons. I will say the original leaf that I had, it was like doing really well, then it died off and I was like, but the new ones have grown, they're not as big. So I'm thinking I will check to see what the roots are looking like in here and see if they're like, if they need some more room to grow. But it is growing very frequently. It's grown 4 new leaves, and I'm happy with the growth. It stays under a grow light permanently now. Before, I think I had it in the windowsill, but it's doing much better. And I really like this one, and I'm excited to see the growth on this one. This is the only pothos that I have from that initial haul that I did back in August. And this is the Epipremnum Skeleton Key, and I've talked about this a number of times. As you can see, it's been growing really well. I actually have 2. The other one was not growing as well, so I cut it and put it in some water, so hopefully that one will continue to grow, because it wasn't doing really well, even though they're under the same conditions, which can happen with plants, and that's perfectly fine. But this obviously needs some type of support and a repot, because the roots are literally outside of the of the pot. But it's growing really well. Couple yellowing, a little bit of yellowing on the leaves. I'm not too concerned about it because I know there's no pests, because I constantly check for pests on my leaves all of the time. I think this more so has to do with my watering. And it's definitely in the right environment though, because I keep it under a grow light, but I'm going to stake this up. I have a lot of plants that I need to stake up. I'm gonna have to get a lot more wood than I currently have. And I'm definitely gonna have to do a lot of rearranging, because my plants are growing faster in the winter, it seems, than they were in the summer. And I've got a lot of work to do to keep up with these, but I'm excited. This is absolutely my slowest growing Alocasia ever. The Alocasia Silver Dragon. It took so much to just even get this leaf. It took so long. So basically what I think changed for it to finally grow this leaf, because I had it on my shelf under a grow light, but it wasn't in high humidity. That's what changed. I put it in the smaller pop box that I have, and then I finally got blessed with this leaf, which I'm so happy about. But this is in soil and not in moss, so I also need to keep up with watering with this plant. But I'm excited to see it grow, and I hope that it gets so big. What is that? There's something silver in here. I don't know what that was. But yeah, this one stays in the prop box under the grow light, and hopefully I can give you a really nice update in a couple of months. This one was so extremely slow. This is the slowest Alocasia. This is the slowest Alocasia growing that I have compared to the other ones. I think I mentioned in a video of plants that grow slow that my Alocasia Caprea was super slow, but this one is slow. This one is the slowest, but it's still really cute though. This crusty chunk is a Philodendron lupinum. Honestly, there's not much to say about it because there's nothing to show you. I did keep the chunk. I see a little bit of green still, so I'm holding out hope, and that's really the update on this one. Here we have the Hoya diversifolia. Now this one I had 4 cuttings. One of them got mealy bugs, I threw it in the trash. The other 2 I think got way too much humidity, and they died as well. This is the last living Hoya diversifolia that I have. It's under a grow light on a shelf in my bedroom, but it is not near a humidifier, or it doesn't have any type of humidity going towards it, because I was scared about the other 2 that I lost to it. So it's just chilling. I have more, this is like a moss dirt mixture, which I feel like is fine for it, and I see a new leaf growing. This one is also really slow for me as well. So we'll see what happens. Monstera Stanleyana. Man, this is a plant that I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. The bottom leaves kept dying. I was like, you know, it is what it is. But then like this leaf is turning yellow. It's under a grow light. There's no pest. I check it constantly. I keep it watered. I really don't know what's going on with this plant. It's still alive. It has a new leaf growing. I don't know about this one. I don't know why it's growing and dying at the same time. I've repotted it. So honestly, I really don't know what's gonna happen with this plant. If you have any tips for Monstera Sanliana, let me know in the comments below, because it was doing really well and then it wasn't, and now it's kind of like in limbo. A couple of months ago, I showed you the Philodendron Melanochrysum that I had. I love that plant. It wasn't actually mine, it was for my store. That plant sold, and I got another one a couple of weeks ago. It's doing great. It is in moss, but I think I'm gonna transfer it to soil because the one that I had in soil grew exceptionally fast, and I'm going to stake this up as well, but it needs to be repotted in soil. I love Philodendron Melanochrysum. It's one I will always recommend if you want to get into the more uncommon plants, and I just think it's beautiful. Alocasia frydek. Now this is a plant that I mentioned in my alocasia care video. I will link that up above. And honestly, I didn't really know if this was gonna do something. It had 3 leaves, I think, when I first got it. They died off. 1 leaf stayed, another one died off. And this is the latest one that died off. And I was like, okay, are you gonna do something? But this leaf is dramatically different than the other leaves that were growing from this. So I think what changed is that I am watering them more frequently, because I kind of forget about this and I don't know why. And I don't know if you have this kind of memory like me, but when plants are in smaller pots like this, they dry out quicker than my bigger potted plants, and I seem to forget that sometimes. So I've been watering this more frequently. I will say I feel like it could use a bigger pot now that this leaf is actually big and mature and beautiful. So that's probably what I'm going to do with this, and I hope I can get one of those big sexy frydeks. I really think my increase in watering with this, considering how small the pot is, has helped it continue to grow and give me this new leaf, which is completely different than the other leaves that I had on here. Philodendron gloriosum dark form. Now this is a plant that I got in a trade from the plant swap that I hosted a couple of months ago. It was just this leaf. I had it in water for a really long time, potted it up, wasn't sure if anything was gonna happen. Then I got this brand new beautiful leaf that has blessed me over the last couple of months, and then we have another new leaf coming. So I recently just put it in this bigger pot, maybe about 2 weeks ago, and then this new leaf started growing, and I also moved it under the grow light. Now this one was under the grow light for a long time, and then I took it out and then I put it back under because I feel like it's just doing a lot better that way. And I feel like the lighting situation that I have right now, especially going into winter, the plants need the grow light and I want them to grow big, and I had to like adjust my shelves for them to fit because they're a lot bigger than my other plants. But it's happy, it's growing, and I will say this one is more of a crawler type of plant, so it's going across like that. So I'll probably have to repot it again fairly soon, because if this one is the size of this one, this is going to be a big plant, and I want to put it in a pot that supports that growth. Syngonium rayi. This plant has been a pain in my ass, honestly. So it was growing fine. It was really easy. Then it grew this long runner that was maybe like 6 to 8 inches. I cut it off. I cut it off right here. So you can see this huge gap that there just was nothing going on. And I just recently have had leaves die off. I'm like, what is going on with this? But now it's growing from that area that I cut. It's growing from this small area here. There's little tiny Syngonium rays growing down here. I mean, this plant is something I don't know what is going on with this. I will say I think I need to water it more frequently than I have been, and I also might repot it again. I had put it in a bigger pot and then it seemed like that wasn't helping, so I put it back in a smaller pot, so maybe that was helping, but now I feel like it's too big and it also needs some support. So that's what we're gonna do with this one, and hopefully it turns out better than it currently looks right now. This is the Philodendron Bull Marks. This is a plant that I absolutely love. It was so small. I think it was only these 2 leaves, maybe even 1 leaf. This was really small. It didn't really grow like quickly, But now that I put this support in here over the last couple of months, I think it's shot up. I'm gonna have to give it another one and probably repot into a bigger pot because it's shooting up. I really think adding these stakes and these supports in my plants has helped them grow really, really well. So this mixture is soil, a little bit of moss, and yeah, this plant is fairly easy. This is one of the uncommon plants that I would definitely recommend to add to your collection because honestly, it's a breeze. I will say that the person who gave this to me said it really likes high humidity. So I feel like I don't have high humidity. I feel like I have medium humidity, if that's a thing. But I think it's doing pretty well and I really like this plant. I'm not even gonna take this plant out of its isolation tank because this varicosum has not been giving, okay? The initial plant that I got was a rehab type of plant. It was 15 bucks. I think I got it from Facebook, and that one died, gave me a new leaf that was significantly smaller. That one died, got mealybugs, cut it down. I mean, it's just been through the ringer. It has 2 new leaves. I will say it definitely needs that moisture. It definitely needs to keep that soil moist, which I am not great about. It needs to be watered right now, but it has 2 leaves and I see another one coming very soon. And I've heard things about this plant, so I'm honestly not sure if I love it or hate it. I think the big ones are really beautiful. I've just had a lot of upkeep with this plant, more than I'm used to having with my plants. Philodendron silver sword is another uncommon plant that I always recommend. I love this plant. This was from a cutting of this initial silver sword that I have, and it's grown insanely. It needs another pull for support because they're growing like crazy. I love this one. It's really rewarding to see grow. Any type of philodendron is rewarding to me because I just think they're really easy, and I always recommend them to literally anybody who loves plants. Literally not much to say about this, except this was a cutting. I think it had 2 pieces, 2 little things. I think it was this one and this one maybe initially, so it's grown exceptionally well, but it needs more support and probably more room. So this is one of the Hoyas that I was just kind of like, meh, I don't know. It's a Hoya Wyeti. It's something that I was like really excited about, and then I'm just like, I don't really know what is up with you. I recently put all of the pieces of the Hoyas, I had 3 separated. I put them all back together in this container, and I kind of just put it on a shelf and hopefully it'll grow. I talked about this more in detail in my beginner Hoya collection video, which I will link above. But yeah, there's not really much I can say about this. Don't hate it, don't love it. It's kind of just hanging out and we'll see what happens. This one, Alocasia Maharani. This was an alocasia that I was super excited about. That has gone through a couple of things. I accidentally overwatered it twice. And I know I said earlier in the video that I'm an underwaterer, but here's the thing. If I bottom water, it's likely that I'll leave it there all day because I will forget about it because I have plants all over the house. So then it's 10 hours later and I go back into my bedroom where I have this plant and it's been sitting in water all day. And yeah, so I lost, I think the initial one had 4 leaves. 1 leaf died from the first overwatering, 2 more leaves died after the second overwatering, and then I have this 1 leaf and I'm like, oh my gosh, please hold on. And I looked at it this morning after a fresh watering. I top watered, not bottom watered this plant, and it has a new leaf that is gonna grow, and I am so happy because this is one of my favorite alocasias. I just think it looks so good, and I love it, and hopefully I do not kill it. This was one of the plants that I got in a trade, the Philodendron Florida Ghost. It was just this leaf, it was just a cutting initially, and 3 more leaves grew, but it was in a really small pot. I recently repotted it in the last 2 weeks, and it has a new leaf growing. It sits under the grow light. Honestly, it's pretty chill. We did have a little, what was on this? Spider mites. This one had spider mites, got rid of them. They're chill, it's chill. Yeah, there's really not much to say about this plant. I think it's pretty easy. And last but not least, hi there. As I was editing my video, I realized that there were 3 plants that I missed, so I'm going to tell you about them really quickly. Scindapsus pictus exotica, this big beautiful plant, was so massive. I split it up, sold some pieces, traded some, and this is what I have left. Excellent grower, would always recommend this plant. It's absolutely beautiful. Next, Epipremnum Jade. This one is a decent grower. I will say it definitely needs a bigger pot, and I have to water it more frequently than my other pothos. Still beautiful, still cute. And this is a Hoya polyneura. I figured it out, but I still have not opened this jar in 6 months. There's probably a wild animal somewhere in this jar, so I don't know if I'm ever gonna open it, but let's get back to the video. This is the Philodendron domesticum. Now, the initial plant that I got was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, and I don't know what happened. Like, I still to this day don't really know what happened. I just don't know. I have no idea why it just died off. But I kept it. Like, it had no leaves on it. It was literally just a stick, and I just continued to treat it like a regular plant, and then it sprouted, and it was 1 leaf and 2 leaf, and now we have all of these leaves coming off of that one initial spot, which makes me very happy because it was so big and gorgeous when I first got it, and then I was just like, Courtney, what did you do? But it's growing back, and I'm happy, and it sits under a grow light. I will say that I do water this more frequently than I normally do with my plants, but I love this Philodendron domesticum. Like, this is just one that I was so excited about, and I think it was one of my first like uncommon plants. I really don't see this plant that often, like at all, but honestly, ever since I chopped it off, I feel like it's been growing exceptionally fast, and it really likes being under the grow light as well. I am so excited to see what these plants are going to look like over the next 6 months. I will definitely do another 6-month update with these plants specifically, because I think it's really exciting, and I like to tell you what I did, how it grew, if it's still alive, and just share my experience with you, and hopefully you get something amazing from it. And if you have any of these plants and you have any really awesome tips, leave them in the comments below for everybody. And I want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you next year.